Jayden Daniels is the Heisman Trophy winner. He truly had an incredible season, and there's no doubt in my mind that he deserves it. He was amazing. Jayden Daniels ended up throwing for 3,812 yards, 40 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions, and also rushed for 1,134 yards and 10 touchdowns. He was literally the LSU offense and was absolutely the most valuable player in the country. The fact that he wasn't considered the frontrunner a few weeks ago is still silly to me. And that was really because LSU wasn't considered one of the top teams in the country like Oregon or Washington was. And that's why Bo Nix and Michael Penix have been such popular Heisman names. Now, a lot of stock goes into whether or not a team makes the college football playoff, and it was very clear that LSU wasn't going to. They played 4 ranked teams all season and only won once, and that was against number 21 Missouri in early October. The other 3 games didn't go their way. They lost a close game to Ole Miss that they really should have won and want back for sure, but the other 2 losses came to teams that were number 8 at the time and ended up even better. They ended up losing to Florida State to open the season, who, by the way, should have been a playoff team, but somehow isn't, and we'll talk about that in another video. And then they lost to Alabama in early November, who somehow did make the playoff. They got beat by 3 scores in both of those games. So it was painfully clear that LSU wasn't quite a top team in the country like them, but they were still incredible, and Jayden Daniels was obviously such a huge part in that. But it's not like Jayden Daniels playing well is just a this year thing. Jayden Daniels was still really good last year too. Obviously not quite as good, but Daniels still passed for 2,900 yards and 17 touchdowns to 3 interceptions and rushed for 885 yards and 11 touchdowns. Daniels has been really good on the ground throughout his entire college career, but more importantly, he's gotten a lot better as a passer, especially at LSU. He's up to a 72.2 completion percentage this season from 68.6 in 2022. His passer rating is also at 208, which is the best of his career by a ton. His second best came as a freshman, but that wasn't at LSU. This has really been the year of the transfer quarterback, and that holds true for both Michael Penix and Bo Nix too. Before LSU, Jayden Daniels was the starter at Arizona State for 3 seasons, and he had 2 winning seasons while he was there, the other being a 500 COVID season. His staple win of his college career really was at Arizona State as a freshman. It was the end of the season, and Oregon was trying to fight for a spot in the college football playoff. And in what was Justin Herbert's last season, they lost 31-28 to ASU. Jayden Daniels had 408 yards and 3 touchdowns in the game, while Herbert struggled and threw 2 picks, including one of those to Jack Jones. Now, a little side note there was a ton of big known names on that ASU roster, probably most notably being Brandon Ayuk, who had 161 of those yards and a touchdown. Then there was Eno Benjamin, who rushed for 114 yards. But it doesn't just end with the players. The coaches were notable too. Former Jets and Chiefs head coach Herm Edwards was the head coach, and current Raiders interim head coach Antonio Pierce was the linebackers coach. It's crazy to look back on it now, but Arizona State wasn't the right spot for Daniels, and clearly LSU has worked out for him. Obviously in the SEC you have good players, and that was especially true at wide receiver for him. And I mean, it's really hard not to compare the 2019 LSU team to this year. They of course had Joe Burrow, who was a transfer as well and was just incredible and won the Heisman. Now obviously Joe Burrow and Jayden Daniels are 2 super different players, but still, both of them played amazing, and both had just 2 absolute stud wide receivers. You could even argue, even with Jayden Daniels on that roster, that Malik Neighbors was the best player on that LSU team. He lost the Biletnikoff Award by 1 vote to Marvin Harrison Jr., who, by the way, is also a Heisman finalist. But for what it's worth, Neighbors had 19 more receptions, 335 more yards, and had the same amount of touchdowns as Harrison. So it's kind of hard to argue that he was better. And that also came with Neighbors having to fight with another top-tier wide receiver, Brian Thomas Jr. He had over 1,000 yards and led the team with 15 touchdowns. Neighbors and Thomas were great, but all eyes have been on Jayden Daniels, and for good reason. Suddenly, Jayden Daniels is a top quarterback in the upcoming draft class, and Malik Neighbors may be the wide receiver too after Marvin Harrison Jr. They've both risen their draft stock a ton, and that goes to the entire Heisman finalist finalist group. Now, Jayden Daniels was the best, no doubt, but Bo Nix also had such a great year. He threw for 4,145 yards, 40 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and rushed for 6 touchdowns. He may be the only person in the country that you could probably argue was a better passer than Jayden Daniels, but Daniels' usage on the ground just sets him apart. I do think it's very possible that Bo could have won the Heisman if not for those 2 losses to Washington. Even with the same stats in play, with that undefeated record and college football playoff appearance, he probably would have won it, but that's just not the case. Michael Penix has also been fantastic this season, but there's no denying that he just hasn't been quite on the same level as Daniels and Bo. He finished the year with 4,218 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. He turned it over more than both Daniels and Bo combined, and Penix just isn't used on the ground as much. Technically, he even had negative rushing yards because, as you know, in college they count sack yardage, and he only had 3 rushing touchdowns. He just isn't as mobile and wasn't as good as a true passer. But Washington did go undefeated and make the playoff, which you can't say for Bo or Jayden. Then there's Marvin Harrison Jr., and he was great. He's super talented, but his stats and usage still don't line up with some of the other top receivers in football. He had 1,211 yards and 14 touchdowns. Now, he definitely did carry Kyle McCord at times, but it feels like he got a lot of votes because of the hype, or, in my opinion, really his name. But ultimately, the Heisman Trophy went to the right person in Jayden Daniels. Nobody was better in college football than he was this season, and he 100% deserves the trophy. And now he's etched his name into college football history forever. What a season, what a player, and now it's time to see what he can do in the pros. I'm excited to watch this kid at the next level. There's going to be plenty of NFL teams who are going to want to call his name come draft day, and it's just exciting. He brings so much to the game with his legs, his arm. He really is a full package. Maybe he's a bit raw and needs a little bit of time to develop in the pros, but regardless, I really do think this guy is going to be special at the next level. As a Patriots fan, it feels like every single day I see more tweets about Jayden Daniels and people wanting him to come to New England, even though they have the 2nd overall pick and have the chance at a Caleb Williams or Drake May. People seem to want a Jayden Daniels, a really mobile guy, and I feel like low-key the reason for that is because New England did miss out on Lamar Jackson a while back, so they don't want to miss out on another mobile guy who can absolutely change the game for an offense. But regardless of who Jayden Daniels ends up going to in the pros, he's going to be a game changer. He's going to be able to impact the game similarly to how Lamar Jackson does it, or maybe even like a Kyler Murray. It's going to be incredibly difficult to contain him, and if he gets out into the open field, it might be a race to the finish line, and he might win. I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing him at the next level, but now it's his time to celebrate as the new Heisman Trophy winner. Thank you guys for making it all the way to the end of this video. If you guys enjoyed this one, make sure to smash that like button, and if you don't already, subscribe to the channel down below and turn on post notifications so you never miss an upload by us. Let us know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Do you guys think that Jayden Daniels deserved to win the Heisman Trophy, or would you rather have given it to Bo Nix, Michael Penix, or Marvin Harrison Jr.? Let us know down in the comment section below. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.